All this time Dorothy and her companions had been walking through the thick woods. The road was still paved with yellow brick, but it was covered with dried branches and dead leaves, making walking difficult. There were few birds in this part of the forest, as they prefer open, sunny areas. Occasionally, a deep growl from a hidden wild animal echoed through the trees, causing Dorothy's heart to race. She was uncertain about the source of the sounds, but her dog Toto was aware and stayed close to her, silent and alert. Dorothy asks the Tin Woodman how long it will take to leave the forest. The Tin Woodman, uncertain, admits he has never been to the Emerald City. He recalls that his father described the journey as long and perilous, but assured her that the land becomes beautiful closer to the city. He expresses his confidence in their protection, mentioning his oil can and the Scarecrow's safety. Dorothy, concerned for Toto, questions who will protect him. The Tin Woodman reassures her that they must protect Toto together. As the Tin Woodman finishes speaking, a terrifying roar echoes from the forest, and suddenly a great lion leaps onto the road, heightening the tension for Dorothy and her friends. The lion, with a powerful swipe of his paw, sends the Scarecrow tumbling to the side of the road. He then lunges at the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws, trying to inflict damage. The lion is taken aback when his claws bounce off the Tin Woodman. Despite being struck, the Tin Woodman falls over but remains motionless on the road. Toto barks fiercely and charges toward the lion. In a moment of panic, Dorothy rushes forward to protect her dog. She slaps the lion on the nose and shouts, "Don't you dare to bite Toto!" Dorothy reprimands the lion, saying, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a big beast like you, to bite a poor little dog." The lion, rubbing his nose where Dorothy hit him, protests, "I didn't bite him." Dorothy counters the lion's defense, saying, "No, but you tried to." The lion hangs his head in shame and admits, "You are nothing but a big coward." Feeling defeated, the lion confesses, "I've always known it, but how can I help it?" To which Dorothy replies, "I don't know, I'm sure." As Dorothy picks up the Scarecrow, she exclaims, "To think of your striking a stuffed man like the poor Scarecrow?" The lion watches in surprise and asks, "Is he stuffed?" Dorothy continues to pat the Scarecrow into shape. The lion curiously asks, "Is the other one stuffed also?" Dorothy responds, "No, he's made of tin." She then helps the Tin Woodman get back on his feet. The lion reflects on his encounter with the Tin Woodman, saying, "When they scratched against the tin, it made a cold shiver run down my back." In response to the lion's question about her little animal, Dorothy proudly replies, "He is my dog, Toto." The lion seems intrigued. The lion explains to Dorothy why he considers himself a coward, despite being a lion, and shares his internal struggle with fear. Dorothy, intrigued by the lion's claim of cowardice, questions him about what makes him feel that way. The lion discusses the paradox of his fearfulness as a lion, who is traditionally seen as the king of beasts, and how he has learned to intimidate others with his roar. The lion admits to Dorothy that despite his size and strength, he feels cowardly, especially in the presence of humans, and explains how he compensates by roaring loudly to scare them away. Dorothy reflects on the lion's words and begins to see him not just as a fierce beast, but as a creature with vulnerabilities and fears. "If the elephants and the tigers and the bears had ever tried to fight me, I should have run myself. I'm such a coward. But just as soon as they hear me roar, they all try to get away from me, and of course I let them go. But that isn't right." "The king of beasts shouldn't be a coward," said the Scarecrow. "I know it," returned the lion, wiping a tear from his eye with the tip of his tail. "It is my great sorrow and makes my life very unhappy. But whenever there is danger, my heart begins to beat fast." "Perhaps you have heart disease," said the Tin Woodman. "It may be," said the lion. "If you have," continued the Tin Woodman, "you ought to be glad, for it proves you have a heart. For my part, I have no heart, so I cannot have heart disease." "Perhaps," said the lion thoughtfully, "if I had no heart, I should not be a coward." "Have you brains?" asked the Scarecrow. "I suppose so." The Scarecrow, Woodman, Dorothy, and Cowardly Lion expressed their desires to the Great Oz. The Scarecrow wants brains, the Woodman seeks a heart, Dorothy hopes to return to Kansas, and the Cowardly Lion longs for courage. The Cowardly Lion confesses that he is unhappy because he considers himself a coward. Dorothy, upon hearing this, invites him to join their journey, believing he can help keep them safe. Toto is hesitant about the Cowardly Lion joining them, still remembering a frightening encounter. His disapproval highlights his protective instincts toward Dorothy. The Cowardly Lion decides to accompany Dorothy and her friends on their quest, feeling that he needs to find courage to be happy. The group sets off together, with the lion walking beside Dorothy. While walking along the road, the Tin Woodman accidentally stepped on a beetle, killing it. This action filled him with sadness, as he always tried to avoid harming any living creature. Overcome with regret, he wept several tears. The Tin Woodman's tears flowed down his face and onto the hinges of his jaw, causing them to rust. When Dorothy asked him a question, he found himself unable to respond because his jaws were tightly sealed shut. The Tin Woodman became frightened and gestured to Dorothy for help, but she did not understand his signals. The Cowardly Lion, too, was puzzled by what was happening with his friend. Seeing the Tin Woodman's struggle, the Scarecrow quickly grabbed the oil can from Dorothy's basket. He applied oil to the Woodman's jaws, allowing him to regain the ability to speak after a few moments. The Tin Woodman said, "This will serve me a lesson to look where I step. If I were to kill another bug or beetle, I would surely cry again, and crying rusts my jaws so I cannot speak." He then walked very carefully, keeping his eyes on the road. When he spotted a tiny ant toiling by, he made sure to step over it, determined not to harm it. The Tin Woodman recognized his lack of a heart and realized he must be very careful with his actions. He noted, "You people with hearts have something to guide you and need never do wrong, but I have no heart, so I must be very vigilant." The Tin Woodman expressed his hope, saying, "When Oz gives me a heart, of course, I needn't mind so much about being careful."